60 Minutes Overtime.
There are numerous challenges to defending the homeland. The first would be domain awareness. You have to be aware of potential threats. If you can't detect, you certainly can't deter and you can't defeat. And you're seeing that play out with the events with drones around the country.
Our story this week on 60 Minutes is about the drone incursions, like the one that everyone saw over New Jersey at the end of 2024. We've been keeping our eye on it for about the last 5 years, especially one over Langley Air Force Base in December of 2023. These are incursions over significant military sites and infrastructures that forced our generals, members of Congress, even staff at the White House have told us they don't know what they are, where they're coming from, who's behind it.
We should be concerned that we don't know what these are.
General Glenn Van Herk is the former chief of NORAD and NORTHCOM, the agencies that protect U.S. airspace.
The question that needs to be asked is, why don't we know what these are? And if you go look back, I think you'll see that there are gaps in capability, there are gaps in policy, and there are gaps in law that need to be addressed.
I think the first question that came to my mind, and I think comes to just about anybody's mind, is, well, why don't we just shoot them down?
Well, if you can't detect them and track them and identify if they're potentially a civilian airplane, then it's really challenging. And people calling for shooting them down over very populated areas need to understand that a fighter or a land-based missile or a missile off of a ship is going to accelerate to 2 to 4 times the speed of sound and have large exploding titanium rods that come out of the warhead at thousands of feet per second. Imagine those going off in a neighborhood, or a missile that weighs several hundred pounds falling out of the sky in your neighborhood.
There's an issue of jurisdiction. Who shoots it down?
I believe we'd be in a better position if we had one organization that was resourced, that was empowered, that was tasked with working this problem for the nation.
Retired Air Force General Mark Kelly is the highest ranking official at Langley Air Force Base to actually witness the drones.
I would offer from the FAA, they see this as a distinct airspace problem. They would not be wrong. I would expect that the DoD sees this as a defense of the nation problem. They would not be wrong either. The Department of Homeland Security probably sees this as a Homeland Security problem. Local and federal law enforcement sees this as a criminal activity problem. None of these entities are wrong. They just can't all be in charge.
The other thing the military could do is to try to jam the frequency that these drones are using. But that has complications as well.
If you jam those frequencies and they reside in a spectrum that may be for TV or transportation, such as airplanes, then you're going to have interference with those.
Couldn't you tell commercial airlines, don't fly over this area for the next 24 hours because we're going to be jamming communications? I mean, it seems that this is significant enough that you might want to take extraordinary measures.
Absolutely, you can do that. You put out what's called a notice to airmen to avoid a certain location during certain hours because of potential interference. There was the attempt to jam them at Langley with approval and coordination of FAA using some NASA assets and some other assets that I believe were provided by the Coast Guard, but with very limited success.
So when you say limited success, what success did they have?
I'm not aware of any success that they had.
Now, I understand they can even fly on the 5G network. So to stop them, you would be jamming everybody's cell phones.
Your hands are sort of tied.
They are tied. And I think
General Gregory Guillot is the current commander of NORAD and NORTHCOM. When you see how the incursion at Langley unfolded, it almost seems that whoever is doing this had no fear of repercussions. Like they sort of figured nothing's going to happen to them. It doesn't seem that they're wrong about that.
Well, I'd like to make them wrong. I'd like to show that you cannot fly where you're not supposed to, have an incursion over a military installation. And you know, I'd like there to be some consequences for not following the rules in that regard.
Since the radar at most bases is unable to detect these low-flying drones, the military is working on flyaway kits. They're pre-packaged bundles of technology that they can deploy to different military installations when there is an incursion of drones.
We would have several pre-positioned at various parts of the country where we could rapidly respond, not only with the equipment, but with the authority to operate that equipment to defeat the incursion.
And equipment being something that might bring them down.
That's right, absolutely. So it would be everything from detect, track, and defeat. My goal is inside of a year that we would have the flyaway kit capability to augment the services and the installations if they're necessary.
So within a year, were Langley to happen again, there'd be some ability to respond.
That's my goal. And I think that we're well on our way partnering with industry to get there.